Did she just slap Crystal? There's a lot of violence going on, isn't there? At least the attention will be off of you now. I need something to cool off from everything happening. Alessandra touched her forehead to calm her thoughts and walked off from Edgar's side. Edgar followed behind her to ensure no one would ask her ridiculous questions about what happened tonight or anything else.
Are you going to look for alcohol? I could do with a full glass.
No, I would love juice instead. I saw that they were passing around small cakes. I am craving many sweet things right now. Alessandra bit her tongue as she imagined how the cakes must taste.
There is tension in the air, yet what is on your mind is sweets. You shouldn't have so many sweet things right now. Your teeth will ache.
Just one slice. Alessandra held up one finger. It couldn't hurt to enjoy a slice of cake and juice. The cakes looked appetizing, so she did not understand why no one was rushing to eat them. You should try one too.
I am not a fan of sweet things. Instead of a sweet juice, you should eat it with a glass of water instead.
Alessandra was appalled that her husband, of all people, did not enjoy sweets. She loved them. During the winter, her father would add some of the sweet candy or pastries they had on display in the house to the side of her dinner. It was something she had to look forward to each time winter came, since she did not attend the parties hosted by her family or go along with them to parties they were invited to. Here, please. Alessandra called out to a servant passing by with the cakes. There are so many to choose from, she said as she looked at the red, chocolate, and vanilla ones with different decorations. Ultimately, she chose a vanilla one for herself and a chocolate one for Edgar. After the servant left, Edgar stood with his plate of a half-eaten slice of chocolate cake that he did not eat.
Did you just use me to get 2 flavors?
Edgar asked, right as she used her fork to take off a piece of what was meant to be his cake. I can't convince you to eat it if it is not something you like, but not to let it go to waste. I will eat it for you, Alessandra said, then placed the fork in her mouth, almost dancing from how delicious it tasted.
You did not convince me to try and see if I would like it. You went straight to eating it. You'll need a lot of water after this,
said Edgar. I won't disagree with you about the water, but it is not as sweet as it looks. It is amazing how, after a punch and 2 slaps, the party has returned to normal, Alessandra replied. Alessandra looked around the room at everyone chatting, dancing, or enjoying being around family. If she had arrived late, she would have never guessed that someone was punched to the brink of death a while ago, and there was a slap resembling lightning striking through the sky. Unfortunately, Crystal and Daniel were going home with bruises they needed to tend to.
Give me some.
Edgar opened his mouth for her to feed him. It was the least she could do while he stood holding a plate he was not eating from. You are like a child, Alessandra said, shaking her head. However, she still broke off a piece of the cake with her fork to feed him. Because of him, she had gotten to try 2 flavors. When she thought no one was looking, she kept eating what was meant to be his cake, as she did not want anyone to see she was eating more than needed. Alessandra did not like the pregnancy talk to come up again. Edgar didn't see what was so good about the sweet cake, and rejected it the second time she tried feeding him. Like clockwork, an idea to make her cheeks turn red came to his mind.
I believe it would taste much better if I had the chance to eat it right off of you rather than the fork.
Alessandra frantically patted her chest as the piece of cake she had put into her mouth when Edgar spoke nearly choked her. She coughed, getting under control, and glared at Edgar for mentioning such a thing. Why on earth would anyone want to eat food from another person? Alessandra's cheeks felt warm when she imagined what it would look like. Is the inside too hot? Alessandra's panic increased when she heard Rose's voice and turned around to hide her appearance from her. She did not want to have to state that it was Edgar who caused her to turn red and not the temperature in the room. She would throw the little cake she had left at Edgar if she could. I opened up the windows to let the cool air come in. Should I open up the ones in the other room? Rose contemplated.
It's all right, grandmother. Alessandra is just a little embarrassed about something she confessed to me. She told me she loved me even more after what happened with punching Daniel.
Edgar whispered. What? Alessandra internally screamed. Alessandra turned around to explain herself and expose the truth, but she was pulled against Edgar's chest to silence what she had to say. It is nothing to be embarrassed about, dear. Tell your husband that you love him every chance you get. That reminds me. Rose clapped her hands, excited about something. I should be the one to hear how the two of you managed to fall in love and get married. Tell me the story and don't leave out any details. Oh no, Alessandra thought. Suddenly, her body turned cold. They had never come up with a story because they both did not care to explain it. How were they to say it started with a contract? Edgar killed her father and they started living together and developing feelings, but they removed all the bad parts and the contract no one was supposed to know about. How could they switch that story to a love story without making an old woman's heart crumble? Ready to twist the story to his liking, Edgar decided to start.
Tobias ordered me to attend a party being thrown by the Baron to get information. There were too many people watching me, so I politely asked to be given a private space while he got what I needed.
Alessandra stared up at Edgar in disbelief at how he had changed the story already. As she recalled, he had lifted her father in front of all the guests. What about that was polite?
A woman appeared before me when I went outside to enjoy the fresh air. Little Miss Alessandra Barrett, who was supposed to be shy. Intrigued, I conversed with her and found that she liked me.
Edgar forced a smile when he felt Alessandra's nails dig into his skin. He placed a hand behind his back to hold her hand.
I was taken aback. I'd never met her, but she already had feelings for your wonderful grandson.
This little... Alessandra thought. She tried to pinch him to stop the ridiculous story, which ended with the two of them having a tug of war behind his back, while acting like everything was fine in front of Rose. That's not exactly true. Alessandra joined in, since Edgar was trying to paint her as some fool in love. I was going to do something, but Edgar stopped me. He could not just let the mysterious woman pass by. I was not even paying attention to see that he was there. He would not have stopped me if he had not taken a liking to me. Right. Rose's eyes lit up. She loved an excellent falling in love story, especially when it concerned Edgar. When I turned around and saw him there, smoking, I should add, Alessandra said, enjoying every second of Rose glaring at Edgar for smoking. Seeing that someone else also shared the same sentiments about tobacco was nice. I told him to stop or it will kill him, and he said, hopefully. I've gotten him to stop since then. Thank you. Rose smiled at Alessandra after glaring at Edgar one last time. Carry on. Alessandra nodded and continued. I was in a hurry to be somewhere else, so he told me he wished to see me soon. Edgar cut her off to put the story back in his favor and said,
I told her I would arrange a day for us to meet, but the next day she ended up on my doorstep. Quite the impatient little one she is.
Not as impatient as him showing up the next day with the family ring. I was taken aback by it and thought marriage was too soon. We had only just met. I needed to know more about him. He had even expressed his views against marriage. Why so suddenly was he proposing? Alessandra feigned a worried look. Edgar squeezed her arm, and through gritted teeth he said,
I just had to make her mine. You should know that she wanted to come live with me right away because she did not want us to be apart. I advised her to stay with her family a little bit more. Seeing me leave was hard enough.
He couldn't force himself to leave until after breakfast with my family. Though he disliked my father, He put up with him to be on my good side. Isn't he wonderful? Alessandra roughly patted his chest with her right hand. She had managed to free him.
Little did I know she was having some problems with her family, and I had to free her from being sent off somewhere bad,
Edgar said. Rose touched her chest, saddened by this. She had been wanting to know more about Alessandra's family. My father wasn't a good person. So, because of his love for me, Edgar killed him. Right after he took me from my home, to my surprise, we ended up at a church and got married. He did not even have a ring, but he told me the ring does not matter. The people matter. Edgar looked to the side to hold back his laughter, as he would never say something as foolish as that. He said, to get back at Alessandra, "Let's go past the wedding night. Grandmother will not want to hear about how you clung to me that night." Alessandra gasped, caught off guard by his words. She stepped on his shoes as a warning to stop before this conversation could go left. She quickly removed her foot when Rose started to look down. I truly wish you could have been present the night we married, but Edgar was in a rush. The next day, I was awoken to rooms filled with gifts for the new Duchess. I'm surprised he quickly noticed my love for painting and bought me many canvases and paint.
That doesn't compare to how excited she was to start painting a portrait of her husband,
said Edgar. Only because he begged and had Alfred take down all the paintings in his home. When the servants did not accept me as the Duchess, he gathered all of them and gave them a warning.
Because she cried to me about it,
Edgar jumped in. Right after, he called for the best dressmaker in town to make clothes for me. Then he was jealous of seeing me spending time with someone else. Oh, I forgot. Before I married him, a kitten I was taking care of was killed. So he had the servants look for one and brought me two to cheer me up. He has even named them Blessing and Nightmare. Alessandra muttered the two names she disliked, but she couldn't develop better ones. Children. Rose held up her right hand to stop them before she had to listen to any more of their lies. You two are feeding me a whole lot of bullshit, aren't you? Rose knew they were from when Alessandra started mentioning what Edgar did and said. She knew her grandson like the back of her hand, and knew when he or someone was lying about him. If the two of you did not want to tell me the truth, you merely had to say you wished to keep it private. She shook her head. Rose walked away from the two to find something else to distract herself from the nonsense she had just heard. Technically, it is all true, Alessandra muttered. I wish the two of you could stay a bit longer. I would love to get to know more about Alessandra.
We must leave now to catch up with Alfred and the others, so we'll be home in Lockwood before sunrise. It's not like you will not see us soon. We may return for your annual winter party, depending on who is there. Goodbye, Grandmother.
Edgar kissed Rose's forehead. Daniel and Crystal are not welcome back here, so you have no reason not to show up later for your birthday. You'll make him come, right, dear? Rose looked to Alessandra for help, since she was more easily convinced than stubborn Edgar. I will, Alessandra replied. Good. Go away, Edgar. I need to speak to your wife about something private. Rose shooed him away. She had a special gift she had been holding onto for years, one that Edmund begged to be given to Priscilla, but she hid. Alessandra watched the butler bring out a box and hand it to Rose after Edgar left. She remembered Rose mentioning a gift. You didn't take the family ring passed down to Edgar, but I hope you will love it. It was given to me by my mother when I married. She got it from her mother and so on. It's to celebrate a new chapter in our life, Rose said, then opened the box to reveal a bracelet with a charm resembling a book. Styles changed, so I wouldn't expect a young person such as yourself to love it, but it must be passed down to you. She handed the box to Alessandra. I love it. Thank you. Alessandra accepted Rose's bracelet, I will keep it safe to be passed down. Make sure you wear it too, especially when Edgar's mother is around. It'll drive that crazy bird up a wall. Rose chuckled. I see. Alessandra decided just to smile, since she preferred to avoid Priscilla rather than try to make her angry. The woman had already killed Jennifer, so what was to stop her from coming after her daughter-in-law she despised? Now hurry off before the cold air gets you sick. Next time you must travel with a coat to avoid being sick. When the weather is like this here, it has started snowing in Lockwood and will soon start snowing here. Be careful on your way back, said Rose. We will. Alessandra felt warm in her chest as she walked to the carriage where Edgar awaited her. During this trip, she got a glimpse of what it was like to have a grandmother, and she would cherish the moments, though she would make plenty more in the future. Alessandra entered the carriage with Edgar's help, and unlike when they had departed Lockwood to travel here, the two sat right next to each other without any ploys being made to get Alessandra to go beside Edgar. She gave me a bracelet passed down by the women in her family. Alessandra informed Edgar if he was curious about it.
Edgar replied. That means if our first child were to be a boy, we would have to keep trying until we get a girl, as there are many things you need to pass down.
Alessandra shook her head and said, Not happening. She was hardly thinking about the one heir promised in the now-forgotten contract, so more children weren't in the plan right now. Besides, it wasn't like they had started the process to be concerned about how many children they would have.
The wonderful thing about making a child is the surprise of what gender the child will be. And I told you I have too many properties for just one child to manage.
Alessandra wasn't falling for his tricks and replied, You alone manage all of them, so it shouldn't be that hard. Edgar smiled, highly amused that she thought anyone else could be like him, even if it were his offspring.
Our children should be thankful to have the genes of a wonderful man like me, who is beyond comparison. But I am afraid they will never measure up to my greatness. They shall reach close with numerous trainings.
It is scary how you went from only wanting an heir to many children. I expected you to dislike them, said Alessandra.
Oh, but I do. Such useless little things when they just scream at their most fragile state. They just eat shit and bother ears with their cries. We are nothing more than their maids,
Edgar said, annoyed by the thought.
There is nothing worse than the product of two people who annoy me. It is why my home hardly has children, or I rarely visit my friends' homes until their children learn to keep quiet.
Alessandra had a lot of things running through her mind, but didn't want to ask them. Instead, she asked, Does that mean I should prepare for you to ship off our child? She stressed the word child, as she was only planning to have one singular child. Somewhere?
No,
Edgar quickly replied. He clearly remembered how lonely the schools were that his mother sent him to because she had no time for children. The only thing he found entertaining was making the people there miserable, until Alfred arrived and took him home. He went back and forth for years, returning home only to be sent back by his mother until his father ended it. Due to his strained relationship with his parents, Rose handed him the home he now owned, and Alfred raised Edgar there as his guardian until Edgar came of age to legally inherit the house. Edgar inherited many things from his grandparents and quite a few from his parents. Not wanting to ever need his parents for anything, he worked hard to increase his wealth past many of his relatives, especially his parents. Then I will enjoy the cries while you stay far away. I happen to love children. Had my life gone right, I wouldn't have minded teaching children how to paint. It is not too late, but as time passes, there will be a lot for me to do as a duchess. Perhaps I will do it once in a while and invite children to our home to torture you. Alessandra seriously considered it.
Then you will see how talented my guards are at throwing people out,
Edgar replied. He had no problem kicking a child out of his home. If they did not share his blood, they had a high possibility of finding their behinds on the ground. How are you like this, but want me to give you many children? Do you expect them to skip the crying stage and go to where you can tell them to shut up? Alessandra asked, curious about where Edgar's logic stood regarding this.
Our children would not be like the little ones I despise. I have the tolerance to deal with my own. I hope.
Edgar added, recalling how Benjamin worked in the shop to escape his children.
My opinion might change once we become parents, but that will be far in the future. Lay your head here.
He patted his lap.
We have a long ride back.
This one time, Alessandra could not argue with him, as she was tired from the eventful day they had. She leaned against Edgar's lap and said, "It would be nice if the ridiculous rumors about me had passed in my absence, and all of my father's family had returned to where they came from. I do not want to see any of them."
And you do not have to,
Edgar said, stroking her hair. He already knew that news of their marriage would make many of her relatives reach out to her, but that did not mean they would ever be able to. No one got past his gates without his consent. If necessary, he would place more guards around her when she wanted to leave home. Edgar would not let annoying people make Alessandra have to hide in their home to avoid them. Clark was already a pain in the ass, and if more Barretts tried ruining the peace Alessandra found, he wouldn't hesitate to make Barrett's name be forgotten. He was well aware of how much Alessandra would be afraid of the consequences of his actions, but with his money and power, it was hard for him to be thrown into jail. If he were, it wouldn't be long before Alfred or Tobias destroyed the jail and freed him. He tried to stick to his morals and not abuse the power he had when it came to killing others, but for the woman who had pushed herself into his life with an amusing proposal, he'd wreck the kingdom to keep her happy and protected. Perhaps the world wanted him against marriage and love because it already knew the chaos that would follow after anyone tried to harm his woman.